Hi, hello everyone, and welcome again to the Stately office hours. If you haven't been here before, this is how it works. If you have any questions for us, you can of course ask in the YouTube comments below. You can also tweet us on Twitter at #StatelyOfficeHours, and we'll pick up your questions from there. And also, if you're not already on our Discord, you can join our Discord. We've got a channel there for office hours. If you've got any questions you want to ask in there as well, I'll be keeping an eye out and I can pick them up. So the idea of the office hours is that we can show you the cool stuff that we want to show you. And also if you have any questions or any feedback or want to tell us about how you're using XState in your work, we'd love to hear about it and be able to discuss it as well. And so today we have 4 of our team here. I'm Laura, and I do the developer and designer relations. And currently, I am in Ireland, in Cork, in Ireland, and it's about 2 p.m. in the afternoon. I am in Ireland, but I think you might be able to tell from my accent, I'm not Irish, I'm British. So I will introduce you to the rest of our team, or rather get them to introduce themselves. So, hi, David, who are you?
Hi, I am David. I pretty much started this whole Stately thing, got the team together, really a dream team. And I am in Orlando, Florida right now, and it's 9 in the morning.
So I think anyone who's wondering why we have our office hours at this time, I think if you can tell that being across continents, that's why we need to find a time zone that works for all of us. So next I will go to you, Matt. Who are you?
Who am I? I'm Matt. I'm about a mile south of the most beautiful city in the world, Oxford, in the United Kingdom. It's 2 p.m. and I'm also British. Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of like David, but worse. Yeah.
And Farzad, who are you?
Hey, I'm Farzad, and I'm based in Finland, in a town called Espoo, and it's 4 p.m. in the afternoon here.
So you're getting almost into the weekend over there.
Yeah, earlier than others, yeah.
You always get to start the weekend ahead of all of us. So for the last few days, we've kind of been teasing you all a little bit on Twitter and on Discord about the new visualizer. So how about we put an end to the mystery? David, what have you got to share with us today?
Sure. Well, let me go ahead and share my screen. We have a few visual updates to the visualizer, which actually Matt showed last week. And let me just make sure my screen is up. Is it visible? Just making sure. There we go. Awesome. So just kidding. This isn't the new visualizer. This is just the old visualizer. Matt did a comparison last time, and so I just wanted to reiterate that comparison. This visualizer, if you missed it last week, is being updated to the new visualizer. And so this, by the way, is the exact same machine that's being visualized over here. And so this new visualizer has a bunch of updates. First of all, we spent a lot of time tweaking the layout over here, thanks to Elk.js and other cool tips and stuff to make these bent and make them layouts properly. I hope you find this to be a much nicer graph layout than before. We don't have the chance of any overlapping lines over states or anything like that, just because of the advanced layout algorithms that are being used over here. And of course, this is all still completely fully interactive. And so we could go here. The F stands for final, not failure. This is failure. And so when we reset, we could go back to the initial state, play around here. We could also send events through here. So just do that, add your payload, see the events over here and all of their payload inside there. And also you might have noticed that we have TypeScript right over here. So this does support TypeScript, which means you can copy and paste your TypeScript machine definitions right into the visualizer. So we also have a few other things, and that's that the visualizer like shown last week, it works in a registry setting too. So we could actually save and share our machines. You could copy the link. You could tweet about it. You could favorite. Can I favorite my own? I believe I can. All right, awesome. I like all the state machines that I create. So that feature definitely makes sense. We have zoom in, zoom out capability. We have the ability to zoom in using your, mouse or touchpad like I have here. And you could also save these machines. Now, I've already saved this one, so I could fork it, and I'm just going to call it fetch forks just to give you an idea. And so this will actually show up in your machines in the registry. So I have a few machines over here. This is one I actually created earlier to respond to Matt, who was basically talking about me waking up so early. And so if you click edit, you could add a description, add keywords, like I could call this beverage. Coffee is not a beverage, it is a way of life. But anyway, if I click this, it will take me to the machine that I've created, and you could share those. And yeah, so there's just a lot more features packed in here than just the visualizer. And one of the most exciting parts, at least for me too, is that this visualizer is sort of a visualizer and inspector all in one. So I'm taking this example view machine that I created a while ago. And if we point the URL to stately.ai/viz, which, by the way, that is the new URL of the visualizer, then you are going to see that it is actually visualized. And so if I toggle this, you could see now it's in the running state. And so this is bidirectional. I could actually toggle it, and it will be paused here as well. And of course, if I reset it, it's going to go back to the idle state. So now you could inspect machines from the comfort of your own browser, your own editor, just like the previous inspector. And so we're going to be moving some features over from the old inspector into this one. And so basically the visualizer and the inspector are getting some serious updates right now. But yeah, right now, all you have to do is point the URL to stately.ai/viz, and it will automatically visualize in the inspector or the new one. So yeah, that's basically an overview of what I had to show for the new and improved inspector and visualizer. And what we're doing is we are sharing the link with you, but we're not sharing it out to the world just yet. So if you happen to be watching the live stream, then go ahead and please play around with it, start making machines, and give us some feedback in the Discord, which I think the link should be right below over there if I'm pointing at the right area. There we go. Yeah, Matt's closer to it. And please give us some feedback on how useful you're finding this. What are some features you feel that are missing? What you would like to see from the visualizer, and also how you feel about the new registry, because that's one of the most exciting parts. And this is going to really be the future of XState, a place where we could create and share machines and fork them. And basically, if we need any sort of logic, we could just go to the registry, search for it, grab what we need, modify it to our specific use cases, and use them anywhere. So yeah, please play around with the visualizer and let us know what you think.
Fantastic. Now, if anyone has any questions or wants to let us know how they're using XState, we'd love to hear from you. You can leave us a comment in the comments. I can already see all your kind comments coming in at the moment. Lots of people happy about what we're showing, but no questions yet. So if you've got any questions, you can also ask on the Discord or on the hashtag, which is #StatelyOfficeHours on Twitter. And other than that, we do have one question, but it's not really related to what we're sharing right now. But we did have a question from James Tharp on Twitter, who asked, what should I be doing in my XState 4 to prepare for XState 5? Now, do any of you have a good answer for that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I just want to talk briefly about V5. That is something that is still very much in progress. And the reason it's taking so long, by the way, is because we are constantly improving the way that TypeScript works with it. We want it to be the best TypeScript experience possible. And also we want to unify just the notion of actors. So really it's going to be sort of an actor model framework on top of a state machine framework. And all of that paired with somehow making it smaller than XState, which we do have some plans for. And we're fairly certain it will be smaller. But the way that you prepare for XState version 5 is, number one, keep using version 4. That's going to be supported for a long time. And version 5 is not going to look that much different than version 4. So in version 4, you might see some things marked as deprecated. And if you're using VS Code, you'll see a nice strike through that. Those are indications that those things are going to go away in version 5. So as long as you avoid those strike through keywords and function names and property names and all of that, it should be pretty smooth sailing for the next version. And yeah, so that is probably some of the biggest parts. Just follow the deprecation notices. And yeah, we also hope that for version 5, since XState version 4 is very similar to version 5, we could probably make a code mod. No promises yet, but like having a simple code mod to convert your machines from V4 to V5 would be really good. And it's possible. So
that'd be very cool. All right, we've got lots more questions coming in. Thank you,
Awesome.
everyone. I really appreciate it. So from the Discord, we have Cody A. Rose or Cody A. Rose. Can you have private machines in the registry?
In the future, not yet, but that is something that we definitely have plans. So just be on the lookout for that. And I'm glad that you provided that feedback, because we do know that as awesome as public machines are, you know, for searching and discovering logic, you might want to keep your business logic private. So that makes sense.
Right, we have a question from Suxo asking, is the registry already accessible? Now, I'm not entirely sure whether he means, can you get to it now? And just in case, there's stately.ai/viz. I've just put the URL up on the screen. If you mean, can you get to it? It's there.
Yeah. Matt, you want to take this?
Sure. It's also available under stately.ai/registry as well. So the registry is at registry and the viz is at the viz. So they're kind of linked together because the viz, obviously, that's the way that you view machines in the registry. But the registry is kind of a nice landing page in itself, because you can just go there and search for machines. So we've got a search that allows you to search any public machines. David, you might want to even have a look at that. I've also, just as a little extra thing this morning, put all of the XState catalog examples up there. So you can just search for those and view them in a visualizer and edit them and fork them and do all the fun stuff.
That's awesome.
Great. Now, Jose Varela asks, do you have a link where we can tinker with the example you showed? I think you could show on the registry if I share your screen again, David,
Sure.
you're up for that. So now I'm working out how to do that.
Laura, one thing we can do is to also share the link to David's machines on registry here for everyone to check it out.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great.
Or try this. Now that the registry is available at stately.ai/registry, try searching for it. Try Matt's implemented search functionality and look for my machine. So it's a challenge to you. So I'm not giving you the link. Just take 5 seconds and look for it.
You can just type in the word David. It's not too hard.
Yeah, there we go. DAVID, just in case you Oh, cool. I love how, there are so many of Matt's machines on here.
Yeah, I'm trying to get in early. We're setting up a social network, so I want to get all the likes churning through already.
Of course. I'm just going to go ahead and like them all right now.
Cheers.
Stress test the system.
Yeah, thanks.
Christian asks, I did not get how the bidirectional logic worked. Care to elaborate?
Sure. So with the inspector, that's a good question. The way it works is through post message. So the post message API on the window. And what's happening is that when you set up XState inspect on your, I guess you could call it the host window, it is listening for messages coming from the inspector, but it's also sending messages to the inspector. And so because everything in XState just works via states, transitions, and events, all we have to do is send events, and we could propagate the same events, as you would in the UI through some other thing. And so honestly, that's one of the biggest benefits of state machines, is that you're abstracting everything to an event. So where that event comes from doesn't matter anymore.
Fantastic. I think this is a particularly good question for us right now from M. Warger, sorry, on the Discord. Where should we report any issues we might find?
I would say directly in the Discord. We do have adding a sort of feedback panel in our radar. Plus, that would make actually a really good state machine example. I've given the send your feedback example many times in XState workshops. So now it's time to bring it to life in the actual visualizer. But please go to our Discord, and if you have any issues, then please post in general help or just one of the help channels, and we will get to you pretty soon.
Just in case anyone isn't yet on our Discord and missed the URL earlier, I'm really sorry this isn't a clickable link. I don't know how to make that work across the studio and into YouTube and wherever. But if you go to discord.com/invite/xstate, you'll have an invitation to join Discord from there. And there you can join our various channels on there. Got lots of good stuff going on in there. It's a really nice community. I would highly recommend it.
I think too, sorry to jump in, Laura.
Okay.
David, are we planning to, I'm 99% sure we're planning to open source the code for the visualizer too.
Oh, yes, of course.
Once, so Matt's question, where do we report issues? Probably we'll do that, I think, in a week or so, make the visualizer repo public, and then you can report issues on there and also contribute to it too.
Yeah, please.
Laura, you're muted.
We can lip sync for you.
Sorry. Amateur mistake going on there. Right. This is a Daniel question from Daniel Belzer. Looks great. Any news you can share on the state machine editor UI?
Sure. So that is definitely in progress, and I've been sharing sneak previews to my team. The code base is currently very much prototype code. It is working mostly, but it is prototype code. So that's going to take a little bit more time than the visualizer, because it's going to have like 1,000 times more features. It's just you're going to be able to, like, just as you would imagine dragging and dropping and creating state machines visually, that's exactly what you're going to be able to do with this editor. And as a result, it's also a lot more complex. But within the next couple of months, we should have some sort of preview for you, whether in the form of a video, screenshots, or even a beta that you could play with. But yes, it's very much in progress right now.
Fantastic. Carlos asks, can we rank/vote machines? Now, we've already mentioned it, but maybe it's a good opportunity to show again. If I put your screen back on, David, if you can just show how many machines Matt has and how many likes he has on there.
Sure. He has 2 likes right now. So I encourage you to go to the registry and give all of his machines upvotes or likes, whatever we want to call them, because he has worked really hard on the XState catalog. And,
Can we unlike his machines?
All band together, make Matt feel good. Let's make sure we... I like
he deserves something for it.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
please.
I'm just having a look to see if we have any further questions. Nothing coming in on Discord or on the hashtag Stately Office Hours hashtag on Twitter right now. I think everyone's just excited to get going. Maybe they've already got the URL open and they're playing with it. That's why they're not asking questions.
There was a comment on YouTube saying that it doesn't load up on Safari. I just checked it and it works quite fine.
Yeah, it worked for me fine earlier. I'm one of the few people in the world who probably uses Safari on desktop as my primary browser. So I already checked it on there.
To download Chrome?
I've got Chrome. I don't choose to use it as my primary browser, but the reasons for that we'll save for another time.
So I can already see that some people are creating machines, which are awesome. So yeah.
Fantastic.
Oh, sweet, yeah.
Do we have anything else that we want to share with everybody? Do we have any more questions? As a reminder to everyone, you can go on our Discord on the Office Hours channel and ask questions in there. You can go to #StatelyOfficeHours on Twitter, or you can ask questions in the in the YouTube comments. I've just seen a new one come up. We've got Horatio asking, is there a link for the new visualizer? And I can answer that for you with this link. There you go, stately.ai/is. And I'm going to add Mateusz to the stream as well. So there you go, you've got an extra person if you want to ask questions. Actually, Mateusz, as everyone else has introduced themselves already, would you be able to introduce who you are, what you do at Stately, and where are you in the world right now?
I'm actually I'm at the moment in Warsaw, in Poland. But what I'm doing at Stately, I'm helping to build all the awesome stuff that we do here and that we plan to deliver on top of XState. So.
Fantastic. See, and now we're already getting the YouTube comments in of everyone who's excited because you're here. You're so popular.
Hi, Mark. And others.
We have a couple of new questions.
Yeah, here we go. We've got a question from Tahir Ahmed. I'm sorry that I'm not putting this in the in a banner right now, but I'll ask it straight through. Do we have any plans to introduce keyboard shortcuts to Visualizer to be able to tab through and be able to press events?
That's a very good question. I think that that would be a really good thing to have, especially for accessibility. And I think that we should prioritize that. Right now, there are keyboard shortcuts, but they are limited. So you could do Control or Command S, and so that saves or updates the code in the Stately Registry. I'm just reading from the settings panel. So if you are in the visualizer right now, click the gear next to your face, and hopefully you should see your face. And if you don't, then please log in. But yeah, you could click
David,
Command
if you
S.
show them on your screen, I've just put your screen up.
There we go. So you could do Command S to save or update the machine, Command Enter or Control Enter to visualize the editor code. And this is a really useful one because now instead of having to click Visualize, like so, I could say, let's make a half awake state. I could press Command Enter and it's going to visualize for me. So that's super useful. And also, we have a command palette. And so this is going to have a lot more commands in the future. But if you press Command K, it opens it up like that. And then you could do stuff in here. Not in inspect mode currently. There's no useful actions quite yet or commands. But yeah, so I could just click here and do everything that you would do by manually pressing buttons. So yeah, the accessible states and events thing, I think those are going to come in the future. And that's an example of feedback that we like to hear because we're definitely going to be putting that on our backlog and finding time to introduce that.
Fabulous. We have Horatio asking, how do I file an issue? The new visualizer does not create my machine for me.
Oh no.
We expect these little bumps in the road, don't we?
Yeah. So wait, it doesn't create your machine for you. Are you like just trying to tell it like, hey, make a machine for me? Or it's not that magical yet, but we plan on adding that magic in the future. But anyway, go to GitHub, or when it's open source, go to GitHub issues. But for now, like Matt said, before GitHub issues, just put it in the Discord and we'll take care of it.
And now he's saying that it's a joke. It's a joke that I didn't get. I'm really sorry.
Bugs are no joke, Horatio.
We're hard on this. Honestly.
Cody has asked another question on the Discord. Do we have any paid/pro features we can share yet?
Not yet. Currently, I mean, the visualizer is always going to be free. Pro features might include things like, as previously mentioned, private machines, and private like teams and the registry, and a few other things like that. But we want the core functionality of XState tooling, and the visualizer to be completely free and open source. So anything paid in pro is just going to be really nice and useful stuff on top of that. But we're not releasing that yet.
Great. We have another question from Tahir in the Discord saying, would the visualizer be able to infer and display types for TypeScript projects?
Someone want to take that?
I can take
sure.
that if you want.
Oh.
Okay, go on.
The new visualizer is built on top of the Monaco editor, which powers Visual Studio Code. So it understands TypeScript, and it comes with the same IntelliSense that you can get in the Visual Studio Code. That we.
Oh, I think we might be getting some connectivity issues coming through with Matthias. Sorry, Matthias, we knew that might happen. If someone else wants to take the answer the question.
Fazai, do you want to take it?
Sure, yeah. As Matthias said, it's built on top of the Monaco editor, and it understands TypeScript fully. Even if you have type errors, it's going to ignore that and compile and visualize anyway. So you don't have to pull in all the dependency. Even if you have, like, I'm going to take a detour here and say that if you even have like a syntax error or invalid configuration for your machines, we already fine-tuned the visualizer to catch all of that instead of crashing like the old one. So yeah, by all means, go crazy.
Vantanav asks in Discord, what's the state/future of XState codegen?
Well, it's a really good question because it's sort of part of our efforts to make TypeScript better. But it's sort of on pause at the moment while we figure out the best plan. Matej, does that sound like the right way to describe it?
Yeah, I would say so, yeah. A little bit on hold, and we are trying to for
oh no. Oh, we got robot Matej back.
It's this is the problem with having live streams that go all around the world. We knew that we might have some issues with Matthias' speed today.
Well, David, do you want to follow up on that?
Sorry, I was just filing an issue on Linear. It's
always working.
What was the question again?
The question was, what's the state and future of XState codegen? And kind of, I know that you and Matej have been doing quite a lot in terms of TypeScript and V5 and making all that kind of work.
Yeah. So we have been working a lot with the TypeScript types in V5, and however, codegen and also your parser project, it does a lot more than you could do with just TypeScript, and we hope to sort of unify all of those tools, maybe in a CLI package or VS Code extension or something like that. But basically, we're going to try to see how far we could get with TypeScript for the time being. A lot of new things such as create model and the schema in the machine are going to help a lot with types. So basically, we're providing the utilities for you to go as far as possible you can with your types without having to reach out to an external tool. And the external tool will just give you 200% coverage. So yeah.
Just want to share this because it's a really cool bit of feedback that Christian just copy pasted a big machine written in TypeScript into the new visualizer, and it just works. So we can go into our weekend with that in mind.
Now with the registry, I could just look for that machine and see.
Yeah, I just looked for it. I'm not sure he saved it yet.
Oh, save it. Save it.
Save it so we can look at it.
Do we have any more questions? I'm going to stop talking about the Twitter hashtag because people just aren't feeling the Twitter hashtag. But if you've got any questions on the YouTube, or if you want to put them in our Discord, we can answer them for you right now.
I saw that Mark had one earlier, which was at 221. What was the hardest part of building the new visualizer? Farzad, do you want to take that?
Can you take that? Yeah.
Yeah. You did a lot of the hardest parts, to be fair.
Yeah, working with David was the hardest part.
True.
That's fair.
Yeah, but besides that, I guess kind of like hacking around the Monaco API, because we did a lot of hacking stuff to get into the TypeScript worker to, I mean, you might not have realized it already, but it's totally backwards compatible with the old visualizer in a sense that you can have the gist ID query parameter like the old one. But what we do is that we augment your code. And since the new visualizer works with TypeScript and it requires ESM imports, we also augment your source code and add those out of the box. And these are all provided by hacking to the TypeScript worker of the Monaco in the browser. And dealing with that was really hard. Besides that, catching things such as possible errors or possible misuses of the machine configurations, they were hard, and hard in the sense that you had to like see the edge cases beforehand. But thanks to a lot of the state charts that we're using, we're dogfooding the state charts and actor model into the visualizer. Not only did we learn a lot of the stuff about it and did we develop a lot of insights, but also we managed to catch all those bugs and edge cases or unwanted features that David puts it beforehand, before the release. Yeah, so a lot of hard stuff went into that for the past few weeks.
Cool. We got another question on the Discord from Vantanav asking, what is the status of code pasted into the viz? Is it saved? And elaborating on that, what I'm asking is, legally, how is third-party code pasted into the viz handled?
Well, first of all, we have a really nice privacy policy written by Laura, which details, just the data we collect, everything we use. Code pasted into the visualizer is yours. It stays on your system until you log into GitHub and you physically click save. Other than that, we don't see it. We don't know about it. So you have to make that explicit action in order to do that.
Yeah, there's nothing going on that you don't know about. We're very clear on that. We don't do any sneaky tracking, any dodgy analytics or anything like that. That's not our business model at all. Do we have any more questions? I can see there's some typing going on in the Discord, so I might just hang on for a second there.
I could talk quickly about like what's coming up next. We do want to get, basically we want to hear your feedback, see what is most useful for us to add in the visualizer, and just keep adding features and making improvements and making it as awesome as possible. And at the same time, we are really building out the registry to be something that is really a collaborative and accessible platform for everyone to share application logic. And so, yeah, we have some big plans for that. And in the meantime, working on the editor as well, and some more open source tools, that we have planned. So there's a lot of exciting stuff coming this year, and I'm just really excited to to finally show to you all.
I think Vantanav is going into a bit more detail. I think it's just the way in which we would sort of joking about going to go look at the machine that had been at the safe machine and then saying, oh, we can go look at it. And that was a little bit unnerving. And yeah, I totally get that. And it's just because of the current state of the registry, the machines are public. We're not going to be snooping around in anyone's machines unless they've posted them publicly and are sharing them publicly. That's right. That's not how we operate.
So yeah, 2 points on that or actually 3 points. First of all, it works just like Code Sandbox. So Code Sandbox, you save something, CodePen, you save something, it's visible to the world. Like obviously, if you don't share the link out, then almost no one's gonna be like trying to look for it and seeing what you did. But like anything that you have on those collaborative coding platforms are shared to the world. And secondly, we are going to prioritize like the ability of having private machines and teams in the registry, because again, that is a planned feature and it is important. So yes, I understand your concern, but at the same time, this is how all cloud-based coding platforms work currently. I mean, they do have the ability to make them private. So we're going to be working on that.
Yeah, I think it was just a misunderstanding of our excitement at that point. Right, well, we got lots and lots of questions. I'm just trying to work out the best order in which to ask them. I think we'll just start off with Christian because I think it's more related. Does the new Viz support multiple machines, e.g. parent and child machines? I seem to remember that the old Viz didn't.
Someone want to take that?
Anyone take it?
Yeah, we're kind of figuring that out at the moment. Because the way that we're parsing the machines at the moment is basically just by running the code inside the Viz, which means that you can, in fact, Mateusz has like an open PR about this at the moment, showing the limits of this approach, because we can't quite understand the dependency graph between all the machines, and it's complicated basically. But the new Viz does not at the moment, but we really want to. And I think if you create multiple machines, but they're not related to each other, they will be available in the actors panel, I think, or they should be. Is that right, David?
I think it's the other way around.
Oh.
If you spawn them, or if you have child machines invoked, they're going to show up in the actors panel, and you can even visualize them one by one. That's right. Because they're invoked, yeah.
That's right. Okay. So yeah, it's something that we're basically in the open PR stage about. So yeah, it should be coming in next few weeks, probably, hopefully.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just to reiterate, the biggest difference from the visualizer is that, well, when you do click an actor, you could see the visualization of that machine. And so it works just like the inspector works today. So the answer is yes and no, mostly yes.
Great. I've got a little quick question here from Horatio. Does it work offline?
The Monaco editor it pulls from CDN, so that requires you to be online. But if we could solve that somehow, then yes, it should work offline. And again, when it's open source, you're going to be able to host it wherever you want.
Great. One from Ricardo. I think we've discussed this in previous office hours. Did you use XState to build the visualizer? How was the experience?
I'll let the team speak for that.
Awful. Should have used Redux, actually. Oh. Yeah, Farzad, do you want to take
that? We kind of answered this before. We use XState and we try to dogfood as much as possible. Well, we have cases that we basically try to make as many state machines as possible. We have a few cases that we are invoking, like the notification machines in other state charts to be able to broadcast error messages or successful toasts. The toast that you see is a spawned actor. We also have a few isolated interpreters that are working in the global scope by sending messages to each other. So yeah, we use XState as much as possible. There was actually a PR from Mateusz that was using a ref, and I actually rejected that because he wasn't using XState.
Yeah, I just did a quick search in the code base, and there's about 20 machines, between 11 and 20 machines. My search is sort of rough, but like, yeah, that we're using throughout the visualizer. And so I would say that most of our application logic is in XState. And I believe it is possible to inspect the visualizer itself using the visualizer. I haven't tried it out of fear, but theoretically.
I think that this is a really good time for Alan Thalber's question. Can you please talk about the limits of XState? How many states can XState handle, and how many states can the visualizer handle?
I haven't tried that yet. I've made some pretty big machines and haven't really found a limit. I'm sure a limit exists. I mean, it is finite state machines, right? We can't go crazy. But Yeah.
We've got a question, another one from Tahir Ahmed in the Discord. Thank you for all your fabulous questions today, by the way. Is there any work/improvement planned for XState/test package? What are our plans, ideas in general for testing machines?
We were actually talking about this recently. So currently, XState test, it basically takes your model state machine and it tries to iterate through all of the possible paths throughout the states. So you could have like hundreds of different paths that you could test. However, that might not be feasible, or you might want certain paths. So I think what we're going to be doing in the future is a few things. First of all, giving you the ability to specify only certain scenarios, and whether you specify that as a given list of events or a given list of states that you want to reach, and have the XState test package sort of try to figure out paths to each of those states, or even just manually providing them yourself like you would do in Cypress. I think that would be a good improvement, especially if you want to ramp up slowly to using the full generated paths instead of like just one by one. Another thing we want to do is we want to be able to test services. So, or invoked actors, invoked respond. Currently, that's a little bit tricky to do an XState test, but we know that for real life applications and systems that you do have a lot of those actors communicating with each other. So we do want to make it possible that those are tested as well. And the third thing, I've been pretty headstrong about, like, your test model should not be the same as your implementation model. However, that's caused a lot of confusion, and people have been saying, well, I have my state machine and I really just want to test that without having to create a whole brand new state machine. So we're currently thinking of ideas to sort of unify those two so that your state machine and your test model can live basically in the same state machine and make testing a lot easier. So those are some of the ideas that we have coming up.
Fantastic. Anyone else want to talk about that as well? It's such a big topic. I think David's covered loads. I just wondered if anyone else wanted to mention anything in there.
I think David's exhausted that particular one.
Yeah.
It's great.
Okay, well, Mark has gone, but before he left, he asked a really good question, and I'm sure he'll watch the video back if we tell him about it, asking, what's your team stack like? How do you manage projects and share knowledge with, do we use Notion, GitHub projects, etc.?
So I'll share that at a higher level, and then some of the team members can go into the actual technology. We use Notion for documents and just sharing knowledge and general organization. When we do research or when we have meetings, all of that information goes into Notion, and we have a ton of stuff in there, and we found it really useful. We manage our projects using Linear. So if you go to linear.app, it's a really, really cool, not Jira project manager, which I think is a plus. And we communicate using StreamYard. So yeah, we found that really, really handy, especially for the office hours. Like, this is a really super awesome setup. And we communicate in the exact same Discord that the rest of the XState community communicates in. And so being that close to the community really helps a lot, because we could jump between our private team chats and public discussions really easily, and feel even more connected to the community that way. So we don't use Slack, we use just the same Discord. So if anyone in the team wants to talk about the technology, it'd be awesome.
In terms of what you've not covered, or
like technology stack, or actually, I guess technology stack wasn't asked, but yeah.
Well, I don't know. It's not irrelevant, and I think that
It's
everybody seems to use a variation on similar things, don't we?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can grab that. Yeah, we're on 100% TypeScript, 100% XState, 100% React currently as well. Our docs are built with ViewPress currently, and we're also using Cypress for integration tests. And Cyprus combined with Monaco and all that stuff, it works really nicely, actually. And we're using Versal for deployment and Superbase. And kind of, it's a bevy of very cool technology, actually, and quite new stuff. So yeah, it's the dream stack in a way. And GraphQL, of course, as well. Sorry?
Superbase?
Superbase, yeah.
Yeah.
It's much easier to say in a British accent than an American accent.
It is.
When I say Superbase.
We also use Chakra as a component library.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're using Chakra all over the place. It's been really, really useful.
I think this is a really great question from Horatio. Do you have any OSS strategies to welcome external stately devs to contribute?
So we do have contribution guidelines, and we are going to be expanding on those more, especially as we have a lot more feature requests and projects planned for XState, especially in the open source part. So just keep on the lookout for that. Yeah, and we'll also be making guides in the documentation. But there are so many places for people to help. Even if you are brand new to state machines, even if you aren't like super strong in JavaScript or TypeScript, like there's always a place for people to help. Even if it's like, hey, I made a small tutorial over here and I want to put it on the resources page. PRs like that are always welcome, or just fixing things in the documentation. It's all super helpful. And we have, I think, over 300 contributors so far to the XState open source parts. So I want to thank all of you if you have contributed, for doing so. And hopefully we could get even more contributors, which is why we're making so much of this open source.
Yeah, and we want to know how, even if you aren't someone who has a lot of coding experience, how do you use XState yourself? How would you tell somebody else about it? How would you introduce somebody else to it? Because these are all problems that we're trying to solve ourselves. Like, how do we best communicate what you can do with XState and why it's valuable? And so it's really cool to pick up on any of your feedback on that. Now, I think we've probably rounded up most of our questions at this point. I'm just looking in all the different boxes to see if any of our boxes have got any new questions that aren't jokes trying to catch us out. So before we wrap up, does anyone have anything else that they would like to share? Team?
There is one comment from Matt in Discord asking if it's feasible to be able to save machines to registry directly when you're inspecting them, which I think is a good question.
It's a good question and a potential feature. I think that goes back to what we talked about with a future XState CLI, so that if you have a CLI, you could in the CLI say, save this to the registry and be able to do that. So combine that with XState parser and you have some magic going on.
It's kind of tricky to do it from the inspector because the inspector doesn't sort of have the code. It only has the running machine, right? So being able to just sort of plonk your file into the registry is kind of cool, but I don't think the inspector could do it by itself. Maybe if a CLI opened and ran the inspector, then the CLI would have more visibility of the code that you had. But yeah.
Right. That's another important side points too. When you're inspecting a machine, that's all completely local. Like none of that machine definition or code is ever sent to the stately registry or any stately APIs. It's only when you explicitly save a machine that it's in the registry.
Fantastic. Well, I think that we've covered a huge amount today. So thank you, rest of the team. Thank you, everyone, for all of your fantastic questions. I really appreciate it. Gives us good stuff to talk about because we've got all this knowledge sitting here in this studio around the world. And it's really great to be able to pick their brains. And so we'll be back again next week. Hopefully have some more cool stuff to show you at that point. And so if you have any questions, you can always ask in advance as well. If you're watching this as a recorded version, you don't get to miss out. You can always ask your questions to us in advance using the hashtag on Twitter of Stately Office Hours, or going through onto our Office Hours Discord and asking your questions in there. I'll keep them saved so I can ask them to everyone next week. And I think as for that, that is that. So thank you everyone for joining us, and we will catch you again next week. Goodbye.
See you all.